I am Stephen Gostkowski, and you're watching Time 2 Football.
Time now for our fantasy football must-starts and must-sits for Week 4. Before we get into it, I wanted to continue to tell you about Overlay DFS. It's your weekly reminder that this is daily fantasy football where every matchup is in a start or sit format. We'll get into much more detail later in the video, but for now, here are your starts and sits. With quarterbacks, the must-starts: Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Phillip Rivers, and Jared Goff. And the sleeper of the week, Marcus Mariota. So for the Falcons defense, in Week 1, they allowed 12 fantasy points to Kirk Cousins on just 10 pass attempts. They allowed 17.5 to Carson Wentz in Week 2, and he threw 2 interceptions. Then last week, they were shredded by Jacoby Brissett. Point is, the Falcons give up many fantasy points to quarterbacks, regardless of how bad the stats may look. And with Keanu Neal out for the season, this could not go well for the Falcons defense. The must-sits: Jameis Winston, Mitch Trubisky, Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, and Joe Flacco. And the bust of the week, Gardner Minshew. I know everyone wants to believe in the legend, but look at the Broncos defense. They have not allowed a quarterback to score more than 15 fantasy points in a game this season. One of those quarterbacks was Aaron Rodgers. Running backs, the must-starts: Leonard Fournette, Kerryon Johnson, Marlon Mack, Austin Eckler, and Mark Ingram. And the sleeper of the week, Josh Jacobs. In the last 2 weeks, Jacobs hasn't been a fantasy stud per se. However, the Colts have given up on average 86 yards to the opposing team's starting running back in the last 2 weeks. If Jacobs gets over 20 carries like he did in Week 1, he'll be in the RB1 conversation this week. The must-sits: Frank Gore, Duke Johnson, Wayne Gallman, Alexander Mattison, and Tariq Cohen. And the bust of the week, Rex Burkhead. What makes the Patriots so great is that you don't know which running back to game plan for. 1 week, Sony Michel could be the hot hand, and the next week, it was Burkhead. He was utilized heavily in that James White role when White was inactive last week due to the birth of his child. You can expect Burkhead to get lost in the shuffle per usual when White returns. Wide receivers, the must-starts: DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, Kenny Golladay, Tyrell Williams, and Terry McLaurin. And the sleeper of the week, Christian Kirk. Kirk has quietly won some games for fantasy owners. While many rookie quarterbacks will check it down to a tight end, Kyler Murray checks it down to Kirk, making him extremely valuable against a shady Seahawks secondary, especially in PPR leagues. The must-sits: Chris Conley, Devontae Parker, Cortland Sutton, Cole Beasley, and Willie Snead. And the bust of the week, Stephon Diggs. Hate to say it, but Diggs doesn't look like he'll top 1,000 yards this season. He's on pace for a lackluster 32 receptions and 5 touchdowns for the whole year. The Vikings are committed to the run, with the only pass-friendly weapon being Adam Thielen. And a matchup against the best defense in the NFL doesn't bode well for Diggs. Alright guys, so back to Overlay DFS. For all the fantasy football lovers out there, this game is perfect for you. All you do is pretty much guess which player is going to have more fantasy points that week. Matchups like Kenny Golladay or Marvin Jones, Sterling Shepard or Evan Ingram, Mecole Hardman or Demarcus Robinson. If you're perfect in your predictions, you win a grand prize of $25,000. And if you're not perfect, you just got to finish in the top 10% to win 9 times your money. And the bonus jackpot is over that $25,000. I personally haven't won any money yet, but I have played against people that have, and this is pretty legit. I'll be giving more information on it throughout the season, but to sign up, the link is in the description. Go to www.overlaydfs.com. Alright, back to your starts and sets. For tight ends, the must-starts: Mark Andrews is dealing with a foot injury. It doesn't look to be serious, so he should be able to go this Sunday. Austin Hooper, Evan Ingram, Darren Waller, and welcome back, Trey Burton. And the sleeper of the week, Will Dissly. The Cardinals are horrendous against the tight end position, allowing 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Dissly isn't the most reliable player, but at a thin position, you may have nothing to lose with starting Dissly. The must-sits: Demetrius Harris, James O'Shaughnessy, Noah Fant, Kyle Rudolph, and Jason Witten. And the bust of the week, Jordan Akins. I get that the 2 touchdowns last week will put him on your radar, but I wouldn't even think about adding him to your bench. For starters, one of those scores was due to poor tackling, but more importantly, the Texans operate mostly in 3 wide receiver sets with DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, and Kenny Stills. The Panthers have also been incredible against tight ends this season, so let someone else waste a waiver claim on Akins. Kickers, the must-starts. Justin Tucker, Jason Myers, Joey Slye, Ty Long, or Michael Badgley. Badgley could be returning from an injury, but if he's not back, start Ty Long. Pretty much this is a good matchup for Chargers kicker. And Harrison Butker. And the sleeper of the week, Josh Lambo. You may not know it, but Lambo has quietly become the more consistent kickers in fantasy football. The Broncos have also given up double-digit fantasy points to kickers in the last 2 weeks. So if you own Robbie Gould and need a kicker for his bye week, odds are Lambo is on the waivers. The must-sits: Randy Bullock, Jason Sanders, Dan Bailey, Stephen Hauschka, and Eddie Pinheiro. And the bust of the week, Aldrick Rosas. A Pro Bowl kicker, Rosas could have a tough time against the Skins. In standard scoring leagues, opposing kickers have yet to score more than 7 points against the Redskins. Defense and special teams, the must-starts: the Bears, Vikings, Jaguars, Chargers, and the Rams. And the sleeper of the week, the Seattle Seahawks. So we have Christian Kirk as a sleeper and David Johnson as a game-changing player, so Seattle reasonably should give up some points. However, the Cardinals' offensive line is among the worst in football, allowing on average 5 sacks a game to opposing defenses. They'll give up a couple scores for sure, but expect Ziggy Ansah and Jadeveon Clowney to make Kyler Murray's day miserable. The must-sits: the Chiefs, Titans, Panthers, Bills, and the Redskins. And the bust of the week, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns defense has put up double-digit performances in the last 2 weeks, but this week will be their most difficult challenge. Opposing defenses that have faced the Ravens average less than 1 fantasy point a game. As always, be sure to like this video and leave a comment down below. Ask your fantasy football questions. I try my absolute best to respond to you guys, but if I can't get to you, I want this video to be a thread where you ask your questions and other people can answer them for you. Every single one of us needs second opinions on who to start and who to sit in fantasy football. And again, be sure to hit up www.overlaydfs.com to play daily fantasy football. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and best of luck in week 4.